Hello and welcome to this video, and this video is about presentations, and in particular it's about delivering a presentation. So speaking out the words of your presentation. And what I would like to do in this video is give you 5 quick tips and very easy tips that will really help you in the delivery of a presentation. Now, what you want to do with the presentation, what we all want to do as presenters, is take our listeners to the point where we want them to be. And we will need to make very clear to them what are our key points in the presentation, what is the message of our presentation, and where do we really need to put the stress and the emphasis in the presentation. And this doesn't really matter if you're a native or a non-native speaker of English. It's all about this delivery, and delivery can be about pacing. And pacing, if we look at pacing is really, it's to do with speed. So it's saying something very fast, or it's saying something very slow, or it's saying something in the middle, or it's something that's a mixture. Now, what presenters often do is they say everything at the same speed. So I'm talking to you today about presentations, and we're talking about presentations, and we're talking about people paying attention to your presentation, and then if they pay attention, then they understand your presentation, then they'll take home your message. Now this is a quick example of maybe delivering everything at the same speed. And one of the things that we tend to do in presentations is deliver at quite a fast speed as well. And we deliver at a fast speed because sometimes we put far too much information in the presentation, and this is about designing the presentation, but it's also about, sometimes it's about being a little bit nervous. And when we're nervous, what we tend to do is we tend to get a little bit faster and faster. So let's move on to my 5 quick tips. So my first point is about contractions. Now, if you're a native speaker of English, what you're doing all the time is using contractions. If you're learning English or you're listening to native speakers of English as well, what you'll hear is all the time they're using contractions. And these contractions happen all over English, all over different tenses and different parts of speech. To give you, I've been using them here as I speak to you. So I've been using them here. That's a contraction of I have been using them here. What I'd like to do, what I would like to do. Now, one of the things you can very simply do in English is not to use the contraction, but to use the full form. And when you use the full form, this will naturally slow you down as a speaker. And if it slows you down, this allows you to breathe, this gives you more thinking time in the presentation, and at the same time you're drawing the listeners in, especially to the key points. So let's look at some examples. I don't recommend this. So if we use the full form, I do not recommend this. And the stress is on the not. What they're proposing is, what they are proposing is. He'll come to the same conclusion. He will come to the same conclusion. So these are contractions. Just slow yourself down and use the full form. And then we come on to what grammatically are called auxiliaries. Now, auxiliaries are the words do, does, and did. Now, if you're learning English, what people always learn about English, and it rightly so, is that do, does, and did are used when we use negative forms in English. So I expect this, I don't expect this. I expected this, I didn't expect this. And you also learn to use them in questions as well. So I expected this, did you expect this? I expect this, do you expect this? He expected this. Did he expect this? He expects this. Does he expect this? Now these are these little auxiliaries. Sometimes for non-native speakers, these do, does, did, they can feel a little bit confusing at times. But you can use them to really good effect in a presentation by using them in positive sentences rather than in negative sentences or in questions. And native speakers do this all the time. They put in an auxiliary, a do, does, or a did, when they really want to stress something. Now, this is exactly what we're trying to do in presentations. We're trying to stress something, and we can put the auxiliary in. We've got the stressing effect, and we've got this, again, this slowing down effect. So let's look at 5 examples. We recommend this option. We do recommend this option. This went well. This did go well. I prefer this option. I do prefer this option. He speaks Japanese. He does speak Japanese. We grew rapidly. We did grow rapidly. Okay, so that was very quickly 2 tips. Now let's move on to the 3rd tip. And the 3rd tip is about using the word what at the beginning of sentences. Now this is really important because you can play around with English word order, and using the word what towards the beginning allows you to bring forward the objects in the sentence, the accusative cases in the sentence, and bring them forward to the beginning to draw attention to them. So, for example, this part of the project is really important. And you can change that around. What is important in this part of the project is. These results were really significant. What was really significant here were these results. I'd like to tell you about improving your presentations. What I would like to do is tell you about improving your presentations. 4th tip. And the 4th tip is to do with vocabulary. Now, first of all, when it comes to vocabulary, let's talk about adjectives and adverbs, so describing words. Now, putting the right adjectives and the right adverbs into certain places in your presentations, this again will help you. It'll help you to slow down a little and to provide variety in your presentations, and it will provide more interest in your presentations, again, bringing the audiences in. And the other thing it will do is also it will really make clear to the audience what are the key points in the presentation, what are the major points in the presentations, and what are the less important parts in the presentation. Now, these adjectives do not really have to be complicated. We can use simple words like really, strongly, definitely. These are very positive words, but if you use them and you slow them down and you put the emphasis on them, they have a really big effect. This is really important. What I strongly recommend here is the way that we definitely want to go is. And adjectives as well, what they can also do is make it very clear what's important and what's not so important. The parts of your presentation where you think these are the best options or the worst options. Again, what we're doing is guiding our audience to the place where we want them to be. So for example, if I've got advantages and disadvantages, this is good because I've got balance, I've got advantages and disadvantages. If I'm proposing something, I might want to show there's more advantages than disadvantages. But another way that I can really point out what's important and what's not important is just by using some adjectives here. So the best advantage, the worst disadvantage, the major advantage, the minor, there are some minor disadvantages. In certain places in the presentation, you will want to use very positive and very firm vocabulary, very definite vocabulary in order to convince your audience. So if we think about things like, and there might be places where it is the right place to use these words. I don't say eliminate them completely, but you might want to think of certain places where you take out words like might, could, should, perhaps, maybe, possibly, I hope. If we think about giving the final take-home message of your presentation, this might be a place where you're really drawing your audience in, you're really trying to convince them. This is a place where you would begin to think about taking these words out. So again, just be more definite. Instead of saying might or could, it's can, will, this will definitely, instead of possibly, using I trust instead of I hope. Again, if you don't sound convinced, it's very, very difficult to make your audience convinced. And just a final point then, coming on to my fifth point, this is just a small grammatical point connected to vocabulary, and this is the difference between will and going to. So when we're talking about future events or future predictions, and just to remind you, if you're a learner of English, then we've got these two forms in English to talk about the future. This will happen, this is going to happen. Now in presentations, connected to this thing with vocabulary where you want to be definite and you want to be very positive, then you might want to think about using the be going to form rather than the will form. Because will is used when we talk about hypothetical statements. Will is sometimes used when we're not 100% sure of all our facts. And be going to is when we're really, really sure of our statements and we're really sure of the facts that we've got behind something. To give a couple of examples of this, if we go into China, we will get a large share of the market. Now there's a sense of, again, by using the if as well, there's some hypothesis here. Maybe it will happen and maybe it won't happen. But if I use is going to, then I sound much more firm and much more convinced of my facts. If we go into China now, we are going to get a large share of the market. Even simple things like we will be successful. We are going to be successful. This will be the best product on the market. This is going to be the best product on the market. And again, you can make the emphasis even clearer and deeper by using the full form. Instead of saying he's going to, he is going to go. So this was it. A short video, but these are very effective things that you can bring into your presentations, and they can make all the difference. So think about using full forms and not contractions, using the auxiliaries do, does, and did in positive sentences, starting your sentences with what to draw attention to your main facts, using vocabulary, so being very firm and definite in your vocabulary, and also using simple adjectives and adverbs to draw in the audience and show them what's important and what's not important, or what is significant or what is insignificant. And then of course at the end we talked about the difference in the two future forms with will and be going to. Again, these little things will have an effect on the pacing of your presentation. It will have an effect on the stress and the intonation, and it will slow you down, it will make you more confident, it will make you a better presenter, and you will take listeners to the point where you want them to be. So thanks a lot for listening to this video, and please have a look at my other videos to do with presentations, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.